Notebooks with a 14-inch screen haven't been a novelty for a long time, and they have in fact become an industry standard for compact portable laptops. They're more comfortable than an ultra-thin and for many people perhaps too delicate class of the thinnest Ultrabooks, but still light enough to carry around anywhere. With its Swift 3 models, Acer has almost completely mastered this class of devices, and as time goes by they made it more accessible to a large number of users who once considered these devices to be beautiful but too expensive computers. That being said, if someone were to recommend you an ideal notebook for use on the go, it is very likely that they would suggest a 14-inch device with similar capabilities like the one we have on our test today, the Acer Swift 3 N17W7 version. Many would initially think that this is a boosted Ultrabook with a beef price, but that is not the case here. The mobile PC platform is improving with every generation with noticeable decreases in power consumption, allowing the computers to achieve lower operating temperatures and get thinner every year, even with a slightly stronger mainstream hardware platform. This is definitely not a classic Ultrabook with a thin front end, but it creates an illusion of such effect by having its front edge thin while the body is actually still the same thickness as the back. So it's safe to say that it doesn't have the recognizable MacBook Air shape that was often copied by the PC Ultrabook industry. On the other hand, this small but significant extra space is used for a larger capacity battery, better speakers, and a few more functional details that allow better cooling of built-in hardware. The initial impression you get from this laptop is quality workmanship, since the cover is made of brushed aluminum with polished chrome bevel edges, effect achieved by electroplating. The inner part of the screen frame is made of gray plastic and has thin side bezels. The upper bezel is a bit thicker because it needs to accommodate a webcam, in this case a 720p one, as well as a stereo microphone and the ambient light sensor. The thickest bezel is the one on the bottom, behind which is the screen backlight. The screen is 14 inches in diagonal, and Acer traditionally uses its Comfy View IPS panel, which is capable of displaying more vivid colors than some similar models, but with the matte finish, that has proven to be undoubtedly better when used outdoors to prevent light reflections. The screen has a 16:9 format and displays basic 1080p Full HD resolution. The most important thing is that the screen displays a beautiful image, bright enough to work outdoors and that the text is crystal clear, which is crucial on such small diagonals. All this is nicely balanced for a target group of users who travel a lot and work outside the apartment or company. Another important detail related to the construction is the chassis. Because it's small and often carried around, the computer must be durable. Now that is why Acer used a metal chassis, combining the structure of the inner shell made of the magnesium and the outer larger surface made of aluminum. A small section of metal side edges is coated with an oxidized scratch-resistant surface, which is very pleasant to touch, so you don't have to feel that you will cut your hands on the sharp metal edges. This is usually the part you touch first whenever you're opening the display cover or connecting some cables. This Ultrabook's build quality leaves an equally good impression in the keyboard area. This area is also covered in a brushed aluminum with a silver metallic shade and a finely rough texture. The keyboard is a chiclet type with the keys protruding from the metal base. They have a typically shallow travel with softly tuned membrane suspension, giving users just the bare minimum of necessary information when activating the keys. Also, let's not forget about the presence of backlight, which helps in low ambient light conditions, which is certainly commendable. Function and cursor keys are reduced in size. This sacrifice was made to allow the installation of a larger and very comfortable touchpad device. It is pleasant to touch with a brushed surface and with two buttons in the lower left and right corners, which of course are alternative to left and right mouse clicks. We really have to commend the presence of a fingerprint reader, a security feature that works well with Windows Hello function. There is also a wake on voice feature to unlock the screen using the Cortana assistant and sequence of appropriate questions and answers, which is more convenient than entering a password or a PIN. On the left side of the laptop, we find a connector zone with two USB-A 3.0 and one ultra-fast USB-C 3.1 port, HDMI port, 3.5mm combo headphone and microphone jack, and a miniature connector for external power. Along the right side edges, there is an SD memory card reader, another USB-A 2.0 connector, LED which signals the device activity, and the battery charge indicator, as well as the inevitable Kensington lock. The bottom side of the device is covered by a plastic cover secured by Torx screws, which can be easily removed in case you need to replace the battery or upgrade RAM modules or SSD. On the front, we notice some grill openings for fresh air intake, which cools the CPU and flows over the heat pipe cooler, after which it is ejected at the top of the front cover through a row of vertical openings in the base area of the device screen. This is well thought out, so there's no any unpleasant heat on the fingers and hands during use. The real specialty of this Acer Swift 3 model is the use of the latest Intel processor platform, consisting of the Intel Core 10th generation, more precisely a quad-core i7-10510U processor with hyper-threading functions and 8 logical cores. Its operating frequency varies between 1.8 to 4.9 GHz range. The other part of the platform is the Intel 400 series chipset, and all of this is rounded off with 8 GB of RAM in dual channel mode, enough for a comfortable use for a device like this. The RAM can be expanded to a maximum of 12 GB by adding an SODIMM module to one slot, which is initially occupied with 4 GB stick, so it's necessary to remove the existing one and insert the 8 GB module. Their graphics subsystem is an Intel UHD integrated solution, which is quite capable of showing your PPT animations, playing full HD video, or outputting the signal to an external screen. This means that the home and business graphics presentations will work fine. However, please do not expect some great results when it comes to gaming or demanding GPU acceleration tasks. A 512GB M.2 SSD is used for data storage, fast enough to give you an extra feeling of fine, fluid operation that this type of computer certainly wouldn't have had if classic mechanical drive has been used. Acer Swift 3 does not have a classical LAN Ethernet wired connection, but instead uses only a modern Wi-Fi wireless adapter in the form of the current fastest 6th Gen 802.11ax wireless standard. It supports simultaneous operation at 2 wavelengths and MIMO 2x2 technology of communication with several devices at the same time, more precisely with 2 antennas for simultaneous receiving and sending data. Real-life performance practically doesn't have any limitations in terms of hardware, since it's capable of data transfer speeds at 2.4 gigabits per second, so the link speed will depend entirely on the access point you're connecting to. When it comes to performance of this Kaby Lake specimen, it's pretty much what we expected, without any major improvements that the 10th generation label could imply, since this is realistically only 5 to 10% performance increase. So there is no spectacular difference between the Core i7-8000U and Core i7-10520U models, more like a fine evolution in terms of performance. Most potential users will probably be interested in the battery life, since it is an important aspect of any mobile device. In our standard mix of image, audio, and video processing, the battery lasted exactly 4 hours, a little bit better than the competing models we've tested so far. How long the battery lasts depends on the type of work you do, the mode in which the computer runs, and the intensity of the screen brightness. In the most economical mode, the processor lowers the frequencies to 1 to 1.3 GHz when loading all cores, while in best performance mode, acceleration goes up to 4.3 GHz is allowed, but then the battery life is the shortest. So it is up to you to choose what works best for you at any given time. Considering a 3-cell lithium-ion battery with a capacity of 48 watt-hours, the claim of an all-day autonomy seems quite optimistic, but it can be achieved with lighter tasks and obligatory breaks. In the most economical mode, it achieves 68% of the fastest mode performance when connected to a power adapter. In the default Windows battery mode, it delivers as much as 97% of the maximum performance, which is a great result. The processor, while running on battery, records a maximum consumption of about 20 watts at a frequency of 4.3 GHz at a maximum load, reaching a temperature of 70 degrees Celsius. This is the value measured on the processor itself, while on the surface of the device it is incomparably smaller and amounts to 29.5 to 36.5 degrees Celsius as we measured during tests. The device records a total consumption of 45 watts during operation while charging the battery at the same time. And the most important thing is that it heats up very little while at the same time it's almost noiseless in use. We measured only 33 decibels. These are some of the characteristics that could really be decisive when picking up a new laptop, in addition to the other listed qualities. The computer is fast and agile in operation. Windows 10 glides smoothly from window to window, and the standard program we use every day as well as Office applications such as Microsoft Office packages run quickly and without any delays. The feeling in use is impeccable, and of course with the remark that this is not a computer for demand work scenarios such as video editing or rendering. You'll be more than happy with it when browsing and displaying internet content with several open tabs at the same time, watching movies in full HD resolution, business correspondence, writing documents, working in spreadsheets, making presentations, and similar less demanding tasks. We especially like the feeling when handling this laptop. It weighs just enough to give you a sense of confidence in its durability, along with metal surfaces and solid construction. The device is 1.8 centimeters thick, 32 centimeters wide, less than 23 centimeters deep, and weighs 1.6 kilograms. In fact, it is not an Ultrabook, but a light and compact portable. The closest size comparison would be as if you were carrying an A4 folder. Windows 10 is easy to install, and the only potential difficulty we see is that a built-in Wi-Fi is not recognized after the initial installation, and it is necessary to subsequently install the driver for this device in order to connect to the internet. Fortunately, there is a separate partition of the disk with all the necessary drivers, which is a valuable help during the initial setup. Every time we get an Acer notebook for a test, we are more convinced that the manufacturer keeps an eye on users' wishes and comments when it comes to laptops. This time, Acer with its Swift 3 at a price at €800 or roughly $870 offers an uncompromisingly good laptop that has practically no weak points for its intended use. The Acer Swift 3 is an essence of a handy portable computer, a laptop which you can comfortably use in the armchair at home, take a pleasant working position in the office, or just pick it up on the go out on a scheduled meeting. The price tag is a bit higher, but looking at similar competing solutions in this class, you will realize that the Acer Swift 3 is one of the most complete computers of its kind. It certainly won us over with its unobtrusive but undoubtedly interesting and classy appearance. Thank you once again for watching the Bench House review of the latest addition to the Acer Swift 3 lineup. Stay tuned for more videos. My name is Marco, and I will see you next time.